Hello and welcome to EvilGinger Miniatures. This is my regular update on all things EvilGinger and the modelling that I've been doing. It's been a bit of a bitty week as far as modelling goes, mostly because I'm running out of things. Now, I ordered a lot of replacements and restocks, but they're all either on their way or, in the case of this, somewhere in the local area which I cannot locate. Because I ran out of milliput, which I use a lot of for doing fillets around bases and filling and all sorts of things. I find it more useful for general purpose stuff than green stuff. Green stuff being a sculpting material primarily. This is a utility material and it's quite good as a filler, and you can work it into joints and stuff like that, and if it's smooth or if it's fairly simple texture, this will work fine. The finer qualities are, the better qualities of milliput are better at that, but for most purposes the bog standard stuff is fine. However, I managed to I ordered 10 of these from a company via the evil rainforest entity identifying thing, because I'd completely run out and I needed it quickly over the bank holiday. I was told it wasn't going to arrive till Friday, so I put up with that and I used what little of this I had left, knowing that I had a restock coming. I do have a tiny bit of this left, but it's some very ancient terracotta stuff that I bought in spirit by mistake a long time ago, and whilst it's still usable, it takes a lot of work to get it into a putty condition, especially the hardener is quite hard and you can manually work it, but it's a good workout for the hands and the exercise your wrists doing it. But I've not got much of that left either now. This comes out as sort of a yellow grey. That one's terracotta coloured like Das, with which Das, on the subject of Das, I'm not terribly impressed with Das. Would have been better off using this, I think, for the purpose I had it for. But anyway, this got allegedly delivered into somewhere around here. Photograph was shown of it delivered at a property. Didn't look like my house, didn't look like my next door neighbours, didn't look like any of my local area. The GPS pointer that they put on the map could be in this street or the street behind me. And so I reported it as not delivered. I'm now going to have to wait till probably next Friday for Amazon and PayPal to sort their lives out and me to get a refund for it, because I'm not ordering. I don't want a replacement from this company because they're unreliable, because they use Yodel or My Herpes or My Hermes. So it's been delivered somewhere in the local area. Nobody's bashed on my door saying, "Hang on, is this yours?" So I've no idea. So I've now ordered more of this from somewhere else, and won't be able to get on with doing anything that requires it until it arrives. Hopefully it'll be the next couple of days, at which point work will recommence. Used a lot of this doing the houses, the roofs on the houses, because they're relatively thick and you have to sculpt them. But those are coming along nicely. I also like using these boxes, cutting up and using as wood, because they've got the right texture and they paint up nicely as wood. I'm also getting a bit short of paintbrushes. I generally order mine from War Bases, and they're extremely good paintbrushes, but every so often, and given the way I use them, I kill them. And so when I am getting a bit low, I restock. Unfortunately, and this is also probably my fault, it's too hot, I've recommended War Bases brushes to everybody because if they'll survive me for any length of time, they're extremely good brushes, and they're not cripplingly expensive either. So their only downside is they don't do 4 and 5s, because big brushes are quite useful for dusting and for priming, because I use brush primer an awful lot, though I am spraying things occasionally nowadays. and a lot of them will die, sometimes due to mechanical wear, like this one. I got used for a lot of dry brushing on the floors. It's a relatively new brush, but it just destroyed it. It also destroys the cheapo brushes, which again are probably better for that function. So I'm out of milliput, so I can't do that. I can't do anything with that, and I've got figures floating around that need basing and all sorts of stuff like that. So that I can't do. So I can paint. I can't paint because all my detail brushes are dead. The ones that haven't worn away they get hard over ages of use, and they become brittle. And that's probably why those wore away when I was using them for something that would flex them too much. So I've got no detail brushes, so I can only do blocking in. I've got some newish size ones floating around, but they're okay for most things apart from the smallest detail. And it's the smallest detail that makes the figures, and so I've ordered some more. Except Warbases are out of stock of them. They're out of stock of everything that's at all decent. All of their sable brushes are out of stock. I can get synthetics from them, I think, but I don't like using synthetics because I kill them really, really quickly, and they're not cheap enough to do that with. They're not sort of makeup brushes that you can use once sort of level. They're fairly similar price. They're cheaper than, but same sort of price as sable brushes, and I need brushes that will take the battering that I give them on a regular basis, and they won't. Synthetics are okay for dusting and all sorts of other things, and occasionally, if you want a one-use brush being stiffer than sable, they're good for lining. So you just use them once and wash them out, and they're basically useless after that. But so no brushes, no milliput. Then I lost this. Now I've got several of these floating around, but this is the only one I can reliably find. And this has usually got a spear in it, which I use for unplugging the much hated dropper bottles, because they block up all the time. They block up from capillary action anyway, but they block up when you're using them. So I had this floating around and I was using it, and it disappeared because I need to use it as a drill for a project. And I've only just now found, in fact, while this was running its updates before I started, I found this, put new drills in, but previously I lost the drills, so I had this but not the drills, and general pain in the neck finding them. I probably need to go and get some more drills and a few more of these, but I've got about 4 of them floating around, 4 or 5 of them. But they're like the little snap-it knives. You can never have enough of them. And again, I need to get some more snap-it knives because the nice people at the shop on the corner don't appear to do them anymore, which is irritating because I just used to clear them out of them on sort of every couple of months. But that's the modelling side. Graveyard is finished. You should have seen the film up on that. The minefield is coming along, which is what I needed the drill for, to put in the little posts that you attach the wire to. Various other projects are coming along, but as I say, they've reached the point where they've stopped because I'm out of brushes or I've run out of certain paint. I started using black spray paint on the dungeon floor plans, and I had a little bit of it left. I had some of it left, which I started using on another project, and it conked out 3/4 just before I finished the project, so I'm going to have to get some more of that. I've run out of spray varnish, and I'm having issues with matte varnish at the moment. Even my old reliable Humbrol is being a pain because if you don't mix it properly and get it perfectly right, a thin layer, you can't. It leaves little white deposits of the pigment that mats it down, because basically all matte varnish is gloss varnish with a pigment in it, and it's a translucent pigment that if you don't put it on too thick will just dull the thing down, take the shine off. However, I'm having issues with this mixing this thoroughly enough to do that. I'm still getting, and with acrylic varnish, which I prefer to use for the top varnish, you can work it because it's milky looking when it's wet, and as a result you can see, you work it until you can't see any milkiness. This is clear when it's wet and it's clear when it's dry, but with little dibbles of white deposit, which is irritating. So I'd use the Army Painter stuff, but the Army Painter paints have thickened up considerably. Now this is a good thing for the colours, because the absolute quality of a paint is determined by the ratio of pigment to medium. And if it's thicker and gloopier generally, that means more pigment, less medium. And that seemed to be the principal upgrade for the Fanatics, the new paint that they did. However, they did the same thing to the varnish, which means it's nearly impossible to properly mix. Just I mix by shaking violently like that. And if you don't mix it right, you either end up with a gloss varnish because the pigment is all in the bottom, or you end up with a satin varnish where it's half mixed, or a matte varnish. And again, you need to have it fluid to get it to run. And because the stupid bottles are the way they are, because it's hard to get in and properly mix it. So I might have to invest in a airbrush just to apply varnish, because you can apply it with a spray can, but I don't like it because, again, I think it goes on a bit thick, and you have to redo metallics so they look metallic and not grey, because I want my metallics to look like metallics, not like bad-ended non-metallic jobs. But that's enough of me moaning. Oh, and the whole online gaming thing has come into a little cropper because I was going to be doing character generation. I can't find the player's handbook for that system anywhere. I know it's in here because I recently used it, because I have a character which I used briefly in an online game through Roll20 in Discord, but I can't get on with Discord for the purposes of running a game or playing a game. So I quit. The character retired after about 2 sessions, which is upsetting because I really, really enjoy Hackmaster. I just don't really enjoy interacting with Discord. It's a horrible system. I mean, even Facebook's better. So what I was going to do was a load of filming of generating characters, and I don't have the player's handbook, so I can't generate the characters. So, and I can't even do a thumbnail for it because the thumbnail was meant to be the player's handbook front cover. The GMG front cover is a bit boring, and the Monster Manual front cover, again, it's just a big beast eye in the middle, so it's not terribly interesting, but the class handbook is a bit more impressive. So I can't do that. I've got to clear the office and find out where I put it. I found out where I put all the other books. Indeed, they're down there at the moment, but that's a thing that's going to have to wait. I also need to upgrade this camera so that you can see me rolling dice rocks on the table. I've got one lined up. It's going to be pretty much the same camera that I got for the main camera, and I'm going to have to be careful that I don't get them mixed up. This is why I bought the Biro camera, because it's got a different name and you can connect it up. I'm also playing with scenes which import bits of video. Not using them on this one because I'm having to do this after a massive great update. So when this has gone out, I will start fiddling about with a better setup, because I'd like to integrate a standard ending to things and that sort of thing. And as it's very easy to change from one scene to another, it seems to be the best way of doing it if that works. But again, better camera. Also, another little saga. I bought you probably remember I bought the wrong cable. Ordered the Evil Rainforest entity was out of adapters, so I ordered one off eBay. Yeah, I don't know where it is. That's another thing that didn't turn up. So I might have to go out and physically buy a cable in a shop. And I'll probably do that one on my day off, which is going to be very busy because I've got other things to do, and I've got packing to get, and I've got all sorts of bits and pieces that I need to get, and restocks of things I can actually get in proper shops rather than buying them online and guessing. What else have we got on? I managed to get the camcorder. Well, I managed to have someone show me how to use the camcorder, and I'm going to start using that to record things. Again, I was rather hoping to have started the Hackmaster game as a thing to record, but without the rulebooks, I can't generate any characters, which is going to be a bit of a pain. I've got the characters I want, the figures I want done, waiting apart from the two that are late work in progress at the moment, and again they're waiting varnish, they're waiting spray varnish for the most part, and when they're done there will be 8 of them. I'm considering a 9th figure, and we're basically going to get I'm going to get the players, well, I'm going to people on the watching it to vote on what characters go on which adventures and what names they should have. They're all tieflings, so I'm going to get a name generator to create 10 potential names for each of them, and I'm going to have people vote on them. I don't know how the Facebook poll thing works. I think it does 10. If it doesn't do 10, I'll reduce it accordingly. But the name generator that I've got in mind produces 10, and they produce male, female, and either sort of neuter type names. And again, I'll probably split, mix and match surnames and things, but basically they'll be the tieflings. I'm going to be using Assyrian names for the tieflings rather than particular tiefling, fantasy names. So you get to pick. But I'm expecting quite some interesting names and ones I can possibly pronounce, rather than some of the fantasy ones which have got enunciation problems. But again, that will be a thing, and people will get to choose when people level, what they do when they level, because whilst Hackmaster, you're stuck in the character class, what you do within that class is very, very flexible, as leveling is done with build points, and you can buy extra skills and things. You can buy things that have nothing to do with the character. You can have a wizard that can pick locks. He's not going to be as good at it ever as a thief that picks locks, but he could do it. And again, I'll get into that more when I do a dedicated video. Other thing, Orange Cat Games. I packed their Kickstarter earlier in the year, and I probably mentioned this before. I know I have on Facebook. The PDF of their product arrived, and I will be doing a review of that probably this week, barring other excitements, because there's no way I'm going to lose it. It's sitting on my laptop as a PDF. I've read it through 2 or 3 times. It's a nice little adventure, and it deserves a review even from a small channel like this. So it's going to get a review. So expect that as bonus content. And I've done my silly trick. I updated the desktop just before I started this, and I forgot to reopen the timer. So I've really no idea how long this is going on for. So this might be long, it might be short. I don't know, because normally I've got a little countdown timer. I normally set it for 30 minutes, and I can see how close I am to the end. Don't ever want to hit the end because an alarm goes off and that will record and look a bit silly. But we're going to get camera update. We're going to get the camcorder. Well, we're going to get the this thing potentially linked up because I want to see what it happens when you plug in a HDMI cable. And I want to be filming me throwing rolling gas rocks. Maths rocks there, which the little Vero camera won't do. I'm thinking of having the Vero camera at a different angle. It's good for overviews, but it doesn't have the crispness you need for modeling and stuff like that. But it's all happening. Developers are all going, and I might even be starting a Patreon. Again, the object of the exercise there is to fund this channel and to keep things going, so I can actually donate things to the so I can actually pay my editing chap and pay for the file swapping software that I'm going to have to use with him. I've still got his normal warband sitting over in the corner, but I've had so much work on, it's rather got pushed out of the way. However, I'm really hoping to get on with it next week when things are a bit more in hand. But again, it's continually keeping things in hand here because it gets out of hand very quickly if you're not paying attention. Anyway, you may have had enough of me for now, and there's going to be a lot more contact this week. So that's me for now. Take care, everybody, and goodbye.